I think Jack is probably once you guys start we need more chairs. I brought some. Great. Whatever works for you. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. The agendas make it all the way around to everybody. Sweet. Awesome. I think we got a couple people along the secondary back row, so if they can make it back that way too, that'd be great. Awesome. Great. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you all for coming to the Institute of Personal Financial Planning Tuition Committee meeting. I'm glad that you all were able to make time on your Tuesday evening to join us. And before we dive into presenting on the fee, I've got a couple quick things and housekeeping things to go through before we get started. So first, we're going to do introductions. So if you want to just go ahead and say your name, I assume you all have the same major, so we can skip that. But if you want to say your role, whether you're a member of the tuition committee, a student senator, or on the tuition and fee strategies committee, I think it'd be great to know everyone in the room. So,
April Mason, my major is food nutrition.
I'm Rachel Hogan, I'm the news editor. I'm Heather Albers, I'm a human ecology senator.
I'm Sammy Thomas, I'm a human ecology senator.
Stephen Kuchera, I'm the student support director for student government.
Sonia Luder, faculty.
I'm Allison Becker. I'm do you want to go? I was like really confused, but where were we with that?
I'm Brian Mitchell. I'm faculty senate president, so I'm ex officio on the tuition fee strategy.
I'm Brandon Sutcliffe. I'm just a student of the PFP program. Just here to support.
Martin C. faculty.
And so I'm on the tuition committee, I believe.
Christina Glenn, tuition committee.
Abby Pope, tuition committee.
Derek Lawson, graduate student president and tuition committee.
Landon Warman, Tuition Committee.
Nolan Kahn, Tuition Committee. Thomas Meek, Tuition Committee.
Jack Tardino, Tuition Committee.
Colby Works, Human Ecology Senator.
Olivia Bowman, Student Body Vice President. I'm also taking minutes, so that's why my head's kind of buried in the laptop, just to let you know.
Jake McIntyre, College Human Ecology Center.
Nate Brunet, Senator for Architecture.
Del Maples, Education Senator.
Sarah Neatery, Privilege Tree Committee Chair and ex officio member.
Hannah Castillo, just a PFP student.
Miranda Moore, College of Arts and Sciences, CFSC rep.
Jordan Keel, SJ Chief of Staff and incoming Student Body President.
I'm Trenton Kennedy. I'm College of Business Tuition and Fee Strategies representative.
Christy Archuleta, I am the Program Director for Financial Planning.
Dottie Durbin, I'm Director of the School of Family Studies and Human Services.
Chaz, the PFP Program Manager. And I'm, my name is John Buckwalth, and I serve as the Dean of College of Human Ecology.
Heather Reed, SGA Advisor.
All right, and I'm Jonathan Pushin. I'm the Speaker of the Student Senate and one of the co-chairs of this committee, with Jack Harris, who was sitting right there, and he's the Student Body President right now. So with that, we're going to dive into some of our work real quick. And the first thing I want to talk about is the needs-based scholarship resolution that I sent out in the email. And I don't know if you all had a chance to read that. And the Student Support Director, Stephen Kuchera, that's been a big focus of his job this year. And so I'll let him provide a little context on that real quick.
So Student Support Director, I work on many different topics. One of them is we just launched the Cats Cupboard Food Pantry here on campus. And so I know that's been a huge initiative that a lot of the faculty in human ecology have been working on. So I hope you get a chance to stop by over there. Basically, to summarize what's in the resolution that I sent out, it talks about how it's increasingly difficult for students to afford higher education as the cost to attend K-State is outpacing the amount of scholarships that we are offering at the university, the increased number of scholarships, and how the rate of inflation in the country is outpacing the increase in average household income. A lot of the increased cost of attendance here is caused by the state decreasing the funding that they are giving to higher education. And so that's not something that necessarily us in this room can influence, but the rising cost has had an effect. And over the last 3 years, we've had about an 8% enrollment decline here at K-State. So I was asked by Student Body President Ayers to sit on here just to make sure that we're thinking about those students who are on the bubble financially. For instance, at the food pantry, we just opened, but in the last 3.5 months, we've helped over 300 unique students who are having to decide between, do I pay my heat bill? Do I get food? Do I pay for a textbook? Those sort of different things. So needs-based scholarships is one of the goals that's been identified by the university president, and so the scholarship that the resolution that I sent out to you all talks about reaffirming that commitment by the president, sending that to the deans, because it's the deans and the university president that make the fundraising priorities for the university. And then the part which is specifically addressed to the members of this room, it says, when considering tuition or fee proposals, KSU SGA encourages the committee to evaluate whether additional needs-based and first-generation scholarship offerings are being made available to offset the burden imposed on the students most impacted by tuition hikes. So K-State historically has had a very merit-based scholarship model, such as the Putnams, that are based on GPA or ACT score, different things like that. But this resolution was specifically focusing on needs-based scholarships. And so this resolution passed Senate on November 16th with a unanimous vote of 47-0. So I'm here not to get involved in the whole discussion necessarily, but if you have a question when it comes to needs-based scholarships, I've met with different scholarship individuals in your college and with other colleges and at the university level. So I'm just sort of here as a subject matter expert or something. So, yeah. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And
Great. Just to introduce two people that just stepped into the room, James Krutz,
graduate student representative for TFSC. Jack Harris, Student Body President, co-chair of this committee.
Awesome. With that, we're ready for the presentation.
Okay, here we go. So we have kind of three presenters here. I'm going to kind of do the lead presenting, and then they're going to fill in as we go. So I have a question. Is it okay to ask a question to open up?
You bet.
All right. So why did you all come to K-State?
Education.
Okay, good education.
Oh, you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
I mean, specifically for me, it was like the place to go because like my whole family came here, but I also knew it was like a Power 5 conference at university, and like looking at education, I'd be like competitive in the workforce.
Yeah, awesome. Somebody in the back. I'm sorry, I don't remember everyone's names.
So a total cost of attendance that was low enough that I could pay for it myself, but a good enough ROI that I would be competitive in the workplace.
Okay.
I personally came to K-State because it has a nationally recognized program in the PFP program, and I came here for the reputation because there's other schools that you can go to that might be cheaper, but there's not the respect that comes with the degree game. And so I chose K-State for the reputation of the faculty and the program.
Awesome. I didn't even ask her to say that. Anybody else want to pitch in why they came in?
Probably no one knows this, but I'm side note from Southeast Iowa. My uncle's a general partner with Edward Jones. The sole reason I'm here is because the personal financial planning program is a national recognized program. If it wasn't for the program, I would not be here at K-State.
I also did not ask him to say that. Anybody else?
Also, out of K-State, I had incredibly intense personal connection with, developed one with a faculty member when I came to visit. So I took the time to, a couple hours of the day and walk me around Derlin Hall. So.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
Pat Bosco found out I didn't want to come to K-State when the rest of my family did and started writing me.
That's awesome. The power of persuasion. Anybody else want to share? So there's a variety of reasons that you might have chosen to come to K-State. What I heard pretty consistently that faculty, Pat Bosco, so administration, quality of programs, national reputation is what PFP is known for. And so that's what we're going to start off with here, I think. Here we go. Can I see it over here? That's much easier. Okay, so we do have 5 nationally recognized programs. There's only 3 listed up here at this moment, but I will put up the other 2 in just a moment. We have, just to kind of remind everybody and review what personal financial planning is, we have a Bachelor of Science program, both on campus, and we just started an online part of the program. Just in the summer it started. We also have a Master of Science program that's an online, fully online program, a PhD program that is a hybrid program. So students take courses on campus 2 weeks out of the summer, and then they take courses online in the fall and the spring. And so 2 of our committee members are actually graduate students who are doctoral students. One is a resident student and the other one is not, but she traveled in for us. And everybody else is a representative of our on-campus undergraduate program. We also have 2 graduate certificates. Many of these students who are in these graduate certificate programs filter into our master's program. And so they're kind of feeder programs into the master's if students decide that they want to go on and pursue additional education. But our graduate certificate in personal financial planning is designed to meet the education requirements to sit for the Certified Financial Planner examination, which all 3 of our other programs are also CFP board registered, which allows students to sit for the Certified Financial Planner examination. And then our financial therapy graduate certificate is the first in the nation that's been offered as a financial therapy program. And I would actually argue that, and Dr. Luter, maybe you can back me up on this, but I would argue that it's the first in the world. So we're highly innovative in the work that we do, and we bring that work into all levels of our program. So not only do our students in our bachelor's program, but also in our master's program, they can also be eligible to sit for the designation of accredited financial counselor. So that's a little bit of a broad overview of our programs. I know that you all have asked us, or the tuition committee asked us to answer a few questions today, and so that is what this presentation is going to be directed towards. It's very difficult. I need to remember that I can see this one over here. Okay, so our course fee, the course fee that we're proposing is a $20 course fee, but we are anticipating and we expect to actually increase that incrementally over the next 3 years by $15. So in year 1, which is what we're proposing today, is the $20 course fee. In year 2, we'll ask for an additional $15 to make that total fee $35. And in year 3, an additional $15 to make the total fee $50. And so that's where we're going to talk about this. So when we think about what will this funding pay for, overall, when we get a $50 course fee, overall we see that it's going to support graduate assistants and teaching faculty to help us staff our irregularly staffed courses. Meaning that we don't have enough faculty currently to staff all of our courses. Our graduate students help us to provide time to allow us to mentor our students in professional development, as well as to help support our doctoral programs and our master's programs, so our graduate programs and the work that we do there. So in this first year, specifically, this $20 course fee will go to support a graduate assistant for tutoring and a part-time instructor. And so why is there a need for a graduate assistant in tutoring? So this is something we've actually heard from students over a number of years, that our students are in need of specific tutoring for our classes. So whether across the board, so whether they're introduction level, personal financial planning courses, or higher level investment planning or retirement planning, students need a place where they can go and get the tutoring services they need. Right now, they're going to faculty, and faculty are spending extra time, and our faculty don't mind doing that. They love working with students. But our faculty are also pulled in many, many different directions to operate this very complex, large personal financial planning, nationally recognized program. So what are the benefits? That's just to remind you of the programs that we offer. So the benefits are to help free up faculty time so that they can devote their time to that professional development. Our graduate programs are very workload intensive. We spend a lot of time, and you'll see numbers later on, but we have a very large doctoral program. We spend a large amount of time mentoring students through dissertation writing, preliminary exam grading, writing, helping coach them with writing papers, working with and conducting research with them. We also spend a lot of time with our master's students, mentoring them. In addition, we also spend a ton of time working with the people in this room. Professional development, reaching out and working with firms, creating partnerships with firms so that our students have internship sites to go to, employment opportunities afterwards, and they have the necessary skills and abilities they need to be successful long term. Is there anything else that you would add to that? Okay. So why is this important? Our students are in demand. This is a very fast growing occupation, so financial planning is expected to increase 14% over the next 18 years. The average age of the current financial planners today is just above 51 years of age, and almost half of them are over the age of 55. So we have a lot of planners who are going to be retiring, and we need to be able to fill that gap. And also the growing demand as a profession. And we are perfectly situated to do that with training our students to be successful in this career. So we have high demand. We have more job opportunities for our graduates than we have students to fill them because there's such a high demand for them. This is a program that is growing. So our undergraduate program continues to grow. Actually, all of our programs continue to grow. Undergraduate, master's program, our PhD program, we've actually decreased the numbers on purpose so that we can spend more time with our undergraduate students and our master's students. In a time when our university is seeing a decline in students, we are seeing an increase in the number of students that come to our program. So here's the bottom line. Here's why we're here. We can't continue to operate a nationally recognized program if we do not have the resources to do it. And year after year, we see budget cuts that have a great impact on all of us. And we cannot operate a program if we have no resources to retain the top faculty we have. And I will tell you, I've told our students, they've heard me say this multiple times, that we have outstanding faculty in our program. These are the top faculty in the country. I mean, would you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you have to put it in perspective. I know this is hard for students that don't know anything else, but when we say top program, we're not talking about, top 100 program in the country. We're talking about, if you were to say these are the top 3 to 5 programs in the whole United States, K-State's in that discussion is probably in the top 3 if you're really being honest and you're being objective. So the faculty in this program can go anywhere. I mean, just be very blunt with you. They get cold called all the time for applying for positions at other institutions. They get offers that are very hard to compete with. And this is a nationally recognized program, bar none. I put it up against any program across the country and actually across the world. You get down to it that way.
Yeah, thanks. Anything from you, Dr. Durban?
I have a unique vantage point in that I was a PFP faculty member at another university for a very long time. And so I have watched this program become nationally recognized. And my former students competed with students in this program. And so I am now here. And I
get beat too, didn't
They did. We have sent students to national competitions year after year, and they've come home with awards. So as Dean Buckwalter rubbed it in a little bit, yes, I felt some defeat.
Yes, so the students in this program, this is like we keep saying, this is a top program. Our students are competing in national competitions year after year. We just brought home 3rd place from the Society of Financial Service Professionals, a national competition where there were numerous universities that were competing, but our team of students brought home 3rd. So I think that's really exciting and speaks volumes for the quality of students that we have in our program.
I would
Some
just,
former team members in here too.
Yeah.
Yes, we sure do.
And I would just add one thing. Our PFP students understand this, but if you're on the outside, if you're an engineering student, this may seem a little odd to you. And the question you may be asking is, this sounds a lot like a business degree. Why isn't it in the College of Business? And what I would say is, if you look at the very best financial planning programs in the United States, they're in colleges like ours, because not only do we teach tax law, we teach the soft skills and the other aspect of what it means and what it takes to be a good financial planner. Now, the reality is most financial planning programs are in colleges of business. And so there is that parallel when you start looking at cost of attendance, when you start looking at salaries that faculty demand, that in some ways you're competing against a very different environment than you normally find in the College of Human Ecology. But the very best programs tend to be in colleges like this, either here at Texas Tech or Missouri or places like Georgia is another example. So.
It's a people profession.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly situated in this college. So another question that was asked is, are other funds available? The short answer is no. We've seen year after year of budget cuts from the state, also from university. It's tapped out all of our soft money resources. Our donor funds tend to focus on scholarships. So we were talking earlier about scholarships being available for students. Donors of our program, that's where most of their money is going, is to support PFP students. And so we need funding that's going to help keep us sustainable over a long term in a environment, a budget environment that is not helpful, is not conducive.
I've got a question.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I guess in terms of, we've faced budget cuts. What is the, do you have a dollar amount for how much the department has lost over the last couple of years, and what that, like how that's affected faculty? Have you withheld hiring more? Have you left positions open? Has there been hiring freezes? I guess tell me specifically what.
So the financial planning program is one of the many programs in the School of Family Studies and Human Services. And the school has absorbed as much of the budget cuts as possible without passing those costs along to the programs. We are at the point now where the programs have felt it, and we're hearing examples of this tonight. There is a hiring freeze. We are not hiring. When faculty have left, we have not been able to replace those faculty positions. We have not been able to offer as many graduate assistantships. So there are numerous cases where we have been affected by those factors you just asked about.
When I add one other thing, and it's counterintuitive because most graduate programs at the university are funded to one degree or another on the undergraduate enrollment in that degree program. This is an example where you actually have the opposite. They are funding a lot of what they do with the undergraduate students who are mostly sitting in this room with the revenue that they're able to generate off their PhD program, because they pay considerable amounts to be part of this hybrid online program. The master's program, in fact, we got more graduate students right now in the PFP program that are in essence subsidizing the undergraduate program here at PFP. And so when you talk about the cost of attendance, they're already being subsidized heavily by students that already have degrees in something else in this program. You had a question too.
Yeah, you mentioned the hiring freeze. How many PFP professors or faculty have not been able to be hired since or replaced since that took effect? Do you have that number? Are there any?
Well, there is one.
Okay.
Of how many total?
We have
part-time folks too.
Full-time or part-time? Yeah, so full FTE, I think there's 8.
So you're down 1.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
One
down
out of 8.
8.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that you have to be a little bit appreciative, and Dottie alluded to this, but I want to make sure that everybody understands. They're one program in a school. So when budget cuts come, if there's an opening in human development, family science, or early childhood education, sometimes they've taken those cuts so that PFP wouldn't have to. You know, we can talk about whether that's fair and all that sort of stuff, but that's the reality when you have, in a contrast to the proposal you heard from Kenise, where it's a much more homogeneous unit. This is, in essence, in some ways, the School of Family Studies and Human Services is a mini college because they've got diverse programs with, you've got everything from early childhood education to couple and family therapy, personal financial planning, to conflict resolution, human development, family science, and graduate
Communication
programs.
sciences and disorders.
Yeah, communication science and disorders.
So I'm looking at the proposal. How many total faculty do you have now, including like 0.5 FTE appointments and that type of thing?
hold on. Count my fingers.
Actually, that's not easy to calculate, and
Yeah.
some of that has changed recently because they were part of a GP idea program. So do you count the faculty that have provided support that are actually at South Dakota or Nebraska or some of the other places? I think the FTE total that they gave was like something like 8, and you can split some of those into others.
The only reason I was asking is in terms of what you're getting with the fee, you know, the context of putting it against what you have now.
Oh, okay.
So we're doing some calculations, and I'm wondering if we could continue with the presentation and then come back to that. And
and then I'm sure they'll be probably back next week, and so they can wait till next week too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we can give you that bigger context of the changes that have occurred. We used to have a program in financial planning on our Polytechnic campus, and we had a change with that. As Dean Buchalter mentioned, we were part of Great Plains IDEA, and that's a consortium, an alliance of multiple faculty members. We have instructors from the community who've assisted us. So I'd be glad to answer that more fully, but there's a lot of moving parts.
I think one of the risks we run in, this goes back to our earlier Dean Buckwalter's comment about a faculty member could be recruited at any point in time. We're in a hiring freeze. Someone leaves, we're in big trouble. That's the bottom line. So I think this just kind of goes with the theme that we've been talking about, is that we need consistency and stability to support our programs, to maintain the quality. I did not hear anybody say that they came to K-State because they wanted subpar quality education. I didn't hear anybody say that they came to K-State because they weren't interested in having a degree or an education from a top university. PFP is that program in the country. And we need help to maintain and to stabilize our program. So we need to have a commitment to help with that. So alternative funding solutions. My question would be, what alternative funding solutions? We can't think of any that are viable, that are sustainable, that are stable, that are adequate, that will provide a stream of funding that will help us long term. This isn't a short-term problem, this is a long-term problem. This isn't gonna go away. We've got to work on this now. So we have had an overwhelming support from our student body, both graduate students and undergraduate students, who are actually in support of not a $20 fee, but a $50 fee. And so this will happen over increments, but when we propose this to our students, we proposed it as a one-time $50 fee. Not one time, like it happened all at one time. Does that make sense? Not that it would occur just one time. Yeah.
Why did you feel the need to break it up? Because increasing over the next 3 years.
Because I'll let you take that answer.
I'd probably push them a little bit on this because I was a little worried that there might be some sticker shock with going from no fee to $50 per student credit hour. There seems to be a history here at Kansas State of taking that approach. You've seen that in the College of Business with a 4-year fee proposal that went up $15 a year over 4 years. You saw that in the College of Engineering, that they sort of took that approach. In College of Architecture, I think, had a similar approach. I might be wrong about that one, but that was why I sort of pushed back and said, let's give a little bit of time to do this incrementally so that students can sort of prepare for it, and also it seems to be in keeping with the way that we do things here at K-State. So that was the reason. That doesn't mean that they don't need $50 like tomorrow, but.
Or yesterday.
Or yesterday.
Would it
But-
be fair also to say that in terms of the hiring you anticipate to doing with
Yeah.
the fee money, that if you got it all at once, I mean, there are only so many hours in the day and faculty in the program to do the hiring. Might that be another?
That's actually a really good point, because when you get these fees, there's always a lag time between the time you start to collect the fees and when you can expend them. And so that actually cuts that lag time down quite a bit by doing it.
Good question. You good? I think we're just repeating yourself.
I'll go through this quickly. So current fees that are imposed on our students, so the College of Human Ecology, so not PFP specific, because this is a very PFP specific course fee, as you all know. But the college currently imposes a $20 course fee that goes to help support student travel, equipment needs, student development assistance. Our students have certainly benefited from those course fees. I think probably almost every student sitting around this table has benefited from the College of Human Ecology course fee to help with student travel.
So a few years ago when we had a fee implemented, I was very adamant it was all going to be about the student experience. It wasn't about hiring new faculty. It was about increasing what I like to refer to providing that transformational educational experience. What can you get here as a student that you couldn't get if you went somewhere else? And so that, just to be honest, is where my heart is. That's what I love to provide those sorts of experiences to students. And so that's what that fee was all about. It wasn't about hiring new instructors or new tenure track faculty or anything like that. And that's probably different from what you've heard in other fee proposals.
So, yeah, I think that sounds enough, right? All right, so some of the things that we've done to offset costs, even current costs, is that Dean Buckwalter and our Foundation Development Officer and our faculty, specifically one of the faculty over there in the corner, have helped to go out and find support to support scholarships for our students. And so many of the students in this room they have been recipients of those scholarships to help offset costs of attending the university. We have private source support through internships where we have our employer connections, our internship site connections have offered paid internships. They help subsidize students' living arrangements while if they're away. So there's a lot of different ways you can think about student experience and the costs that students could incur while developing their professional and educational experience.
I might just add something here that may not be obvious to people outside the department. When we start talking about access to college and affordability and things like that, there is no academic program more attuned to what that means in the personal financial planning program. In fact, that research expertise of our faculty in the department is how families pay for college. I mean, we have a faculty member, that's what he studies. This is the department that started PowerCap Financial Planning that has now moved to Student Services, that is a resource for the whole university. And so when they come with a fee proposal, it's not with a lack of understanding of what the cost of attendance is, what that means for families. This is really, if you're looking for a resource on what this means, these are the faculty that you need to be going to and asking those questions about how families are making these decisions. And so it's not with lightly that they take a fee proposal like this forward to this committee. I think we need to realize that as we move forward.
Yeah. And I think it's been important for us to involve all of our students. I mean, this has been a conversation we've been having with students since we've been discussing the need for a course fee. And so we don't take this lightly, and we try to involve our students along the road. So this is a big decision.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm guessing, Dean Buckwalter, that this is similar to kinesiology in the sense that you're not providing scholarships that are specifically targeted at need at this point.
Within the PFP program, not that I know of. I don't think so. It's hard to kind of target that at the department.
We don't need to relive
Yeah, I
that.
know. We had this debate last week.
Is that gonna be a question for next week?
It's.
We had a good time last one. Brett and I had a very spirited debate. So that was good.
Okay, so there was a question about, what was the question? Why we're proposing for PFP specifically. Oops. We've already discussed some of this, but again, our students have provided ample support because they take a lot of pride in where they are, where they're getting their degree. Any of them who have been to national conferences, people know who you are. You're wearing your purple shirts and you're from K-State. They'll say, hey, you're from K-State. I want to meet you. I want to talk to you about an internship, about a job. I want to hire you. I want to, yes. So.
And make no mistake, that is much harder to build up than it is to lose. Like if that goes away, it will take a long, long time to build that back up.
Our advisory board, so we have an advisory board that's comprised of alums, friends of the PFP program. There's 2 students that serve on the advisory board as well. And they've provided support for this as well and actually have said this is something you need to do. This is what you need to do to help provide that consistency.
It's the only advisory board meeting I've ever been to where I had a current student say, you guys are really charging too little for this program. You need to be charging more. I kid you not. That was one of the comments.
Okay, I know we need to hurry up. So there was also a question about enrollment trends. So like we said, we are one of the few programs in the college that are trending up, and they may look small, but remember we have also over 100 graduate students as well. And so it's taken time to build our numbers back up. Our master's enrollment saw a decline, but now is having an increase in enrollment. There's a number of reasons for that. I can get into those if you want me to speculate as to why I think that there's been an increase there. But I will save that if you have questions later. And then our PhD enrollment, I think that this is something that we hit on earlier, but this is one of the programs that we receive revenue from that goes to help subsidize our other programs. And we're having to taper the number of enrollment off because the workload is so intensive and we want and need to spend time with our other students as well. Not that we're taking away time from our PhD students, but we want to be able to focus our time and give quality time and attention to all of our students. And then I think that's the end. Yes.
Yes. You talked about hiring a graduate assistant for tutoring. Do you know about which specific classes they would be tutoring for, how many hours they would be doing, like a general estimate of how many students they would actually be able to serve?
So I'll let you speak to a number of hours in specific, but typically graduate students work about 20 hours a week. So they would have a number of those hours. That's kind of more her decision than my decision. But they would probably focus on the Intro to Personal Finance class. There's lots of students who need tutoring in that class, as well as our advanced financial planning classes. Many students need help with investments and with tax as well, and so those instructors spend a lot of extra time. And I'm not saying that any of the other courses the instructors spend less time, but those are going to be some of your heavier focus courses.
Did that answer your question, or is there?
Yeah, sorry, that was like 3 questions in one. And then, do you know, I guess from that 20 hours, about how many students they would
be able to serve through that? Like, would it be one-on-one, group tutoring? Have you gotten in the weeds about that?
We haven't gotten into the weeds about that, but I could foresee that there could be some of both.
Okay.
Is there any structure now for undergraduate students tutoring undergraduate students?
There's not a lot of not a lot of support there. I think there's lots of students who do that on their own free time. Come over to my house and I'll help you, but no structured support. We have a ambassador type of program that we're just now starting and getting off the ground, but it's really more helping the younger students kind of make their way, build some of those professional development skills so they know how to talk to potential employers, potential internship providers. Would you add anything else to that?
No, I think one of the things that you have to realize is that with graduate student support and instructors, or at least the part-time one to begin with, and then the other instructors that will come in over time, what they do also allows the tenure track faculty to do other things, which directly benefits the students because they're able to provide supports in ways that they're not able to. So I would encourage you not to just hone in on what the person that will be hired to do, but also realize that because that person's doing that, it's also provided a resource that allows the faculty to do other things. And when we talk about retaining faculty want to be in an environment where they have these sorts of opportunities, where they see the department pulling in a certain direction. And so this is, without these financial resources, that becomes much more difficult.
If I could add to that, Dean Buckwalter, for you all to know, from my perspective as school director, I do all the annual evaluations of our faculty. This is a high functioning group of faculty, often working at an overload level. And so what Dean Buckwalter is talking about will help our faculty in ways that may not be evident on the paper. And in this, hopefully we made it evident in the presentation. Well, not we, but Dr. Archuleta through this.
Yeah, and the faculty that we have lost, places they've gone are places like the University of Wisconsin. So top university in the world, that's a AAU institution. University of Georgia, that's an AAU institution, one of the top research institutions in the United States. We're not, again, we can talk about what our competition is, but I'm telling you, the competition for this faculty is fierce. We're not competing with, the comprehensive regional university. We're competing with top-notch universities.
Christy, I can add a little about your mentor program. That was something that the students started. The seniors, juniors and seniors were exposed to the freshman and sophomore professional environment and saw that they needed more development. And the students decided they wanted to do more to support the undergraduates or the underclassmen to really get involved. And I think that's evident of how plugged in our students are to K-State and to the program, which is really cool. This is a very engaged student body that really cares about the program and what we're doing. And then one thing that we mentioned this, but how many of our tuition fee members are advisors at PowerCat or are on track to be an advisor? So yeah, they all know exactly how to deal with college student loans because they're working with the student body. They know exactly what the cost of attendance is and what it looks like because they're doing it on a regular basis. And they're still here saying this major is worth it.
I guess just a closing comment, maybe, not a question. Dean Buckwalter, earlier when we were talking about the kinesiology degree, we talked about how there's not an effective or appropriate vehicle for how we target need-based students. Some departments—
At the departmental level.
At the departmental level.
For sure.
Some may be doing it, in your opinion, in an incorrect way or in a way that's not equitable. I hope, as we get data back from Huron and as we make a lot of changes probably in the next 6 months to a year, that PFP uses their expertise and their academic expertise to help departments develop a model so that we aren't sitting in here in a year when you come ask for an increase and we still haven't found a method to target need-based students. And I think that knowledge is shared with the university like it is already with parents.
Yeah, and I will say this, and this is where it gets a little, all these things are so multifaceted. It's hard to say if you do A, you'll get B. And so Chrissy alluded to the fact that I spent time with my development office, going to financial planning firms, went on a number of these visits where we raised scholarship money for students to study personal financial planning. And it wasn't that we didn't give them away based on need or merit, we just couldn't give them away. It just weren't students that came to take them. So to me, that's not the enrollment being driven by the lack of scholarships, that's being driven by other factors. And to Stephen's point, is he left or not? But it's okay. I mean, he sort of connected the enrollment decline with the cost of attendance. I would be very, very cautious of making that connection because I don't think we have great evidence to say that those two things are intertwined in the way that was alluded to in that statement. Now, do I think there are students that don't come in because it's too expensive? Absolutely. Do I think that explains our enrollment decline? I'm not sure. And I probably should leave it at that because I sit on, the enrollment management committee, and it probably wouldn't be appropriate for me to say anything else.
Dean Walter, I just want to clarify. So you said that students were not taking scholarships that were on the table. I think I've heard from my conversations that this is because not enough students fill out the scholarship application because most people, if they don't get a 4.0 or a really high GPA, they don't think that there's a scholarship out there for them, so it's hard to marry a scholarship with certain criteria to students who don't fill out a scholarship application.
Yeah, in the case I'm talking about in terms of PFP, this is very, very specific.
Yes, please.
It's just there weren't students to give them to. They just didn't come.
How many of you knew what financial planning was? Okay, so is it a household term, financial planning?
How many knew you could major in that? And how many of you knew to look in the college of human
Before you came to K-State.
Before you came to K-State.
You get visit.
You worked as one of our student workers too, so.
It's not common that families openly talk about money. If you came from a family that openly talks about money, consider yourself fortunate. Financial planning is not something, Dean has this great idea for doing a video of a child wanting to be a financial planner, but it's not something that.
A 5-year-old sitting there playing with his toys. I want to help you with your money. Retirement's around the corner, but I don't think it would go that well. But, and so it's a challenge that we have actually as a personal financial planning profession is how do we even make students aware? Because here's the deal. It's not if you can get a job if you plan it. I mean, provided you don't do something stupid like knock off a liquor store or something while you're a student here. You can get a job in the financial services industry. There are jobs out there for you, right? I mean, they don't have the pipeline's not there right now. And so what I was talking to Stephen about is we would love to have more students in this.
Dean Walter, I might clarify, year one, we did not have enough. Year two of our scholarship initiative, we have more people coming in with scholarship dollars. So that was a real problem with our scholarship.
Yeah, but that's the point was that they're not necessarily connected in the way that people normally think they are.
And most of our current majors didn't know about financial planning until sophomore, junior year. There's only a few that knew about it when you were freshmen. I don't even know that any of them are here. Well, except for you, Jack and Abby.
I personally thought when I came to K-State, I went into business finance and I thought I was on the right track until my advisor told me otherwise. Because I had no idea about personal financial planning. I know there's a lot of other people in this room that also were in that same track. So. Yeah, that's how I was. Coming out of high school, I wanted to be a financial planner, but didn't know that we had a major, which I think is the case. I don't know if you gave numbers, but the enrollment has gone from last spring, 46 people, I think, to now 70 or more. And we've had multiple in the last couple of weeks that have switched over. So our major is growing by very large percentages.
And with the job demand thing too, I think I was speaking to Dr. C about this. I think we have one graduating senior that doesn't have a job yet, and there's 4 companies after him, right now, looking to get him on board. So, I mean,
if you're willing to go anywhere, you'll get a job, no problem, and you'll probably have several offers.
Are there any final questions? If not, just some housekeeping things before we call it a night. If you do have any more questions, I'll be sending out the minutes following our meeting. So if you have any questions, send them to me. I will pass them along to Dr. Archuleta. And then we'll be back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Same place, same time. And so, yeah, I think it's everything, Jack. That's it. All right, thanks for coming. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I was just kidding. Yeah, no, it's good.